So right around the time we got the official confirmation that Nintendo would indeed be holding a June Nintendo Direct presentation, which by the way, I'm still very hyped about, realizing all of the new game announcements that we have to look forward to for 2023. It was a great thing to see, but there was an article that hit the internet at that same time that I feel like missed the news cycle in terms of what you would normally see when it comes to coverage from probably a lot of the Nintendo channels that you watch. And it has to do with some specific comments from a well-known Nintendo publisher that puts out numerous games on the platform, and specifically a strategy that they wish they would have implemented that may have either hinted at and or confirmed backwards compatibility for the future Nintendo hardware, whether it be the Switch 2 or something entirely different. I do tend to think that backwards compatibility is likely, but now we have more mounting evidence that it might really be here. And I want to break down that exact article and discuss what, if anything, this really means when it comes to our expectations for our current library of Switch games working on the Nintendo Switch 2 in the future. What's up, nation? Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification if you haven't already. And as mentioned, guys, today we are discussing the backwards compatibility conversation for specifically Nintendo's next generation hardware that we don't know when it's coming out. I do think there's a lot of interesting theories around how Nintendo stacked up the rest of the 2023 lineup with games, and we may dive into more speculation on when the reveal is most likely in a future video now that we have more information on Nintendo's 2023 release schedule following this direct. We know we have numerous Mario games to look forward to, and Mario is kind of the headline of the topic we're talking about today as well, because with all of these different Mario games, it would be great to be able to carry them forward to true next generation hardware when Nintendo is ready to reveal it. You've probably seen prior videos with people like notable YouTuber MVG stating that he thinks there's going to be some big roadblocks when it comes to pulling off full-on emulation or backwards compatibility for the current library of Switch games that we have today with the future console. Other people think it's more of a shoe-in and it has to be there, but obviously nothing's guaranteed until Nintendo decides to reveal what's next and whether or not they will roll forward our entire library of games to be playable on their next-gen console. And when you stop and look around and realize what we're building out with NSO, that I do believe will roll forward, but if you look at the eShop and the thousands of games that are on there available for download, and probably many of them that you have already downloaded, you sure would hope that that stuff would roll forward if we're talking about a new next generation system from Nintendo, which I believe by early 2024 at the latest, we will at least know what it is. And to first break down this article where the backwards compatibility topic is hinted at, we need to hop over to VGC and read through their detailed typed up article together, where they are interviewing a Ubisoft boss around the sales numbers of Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and a very specific plan of action going forward is outlined that may have just revealed this. As you can see the following: Ubisoft says it should have held Mario plus Rabbids sequel for Nintendo's next console. It underperformed because it was released too early, according to CEO Yves Guillemot. In an interview with GamesIndustry.biz, Guillemot suggested Nintendo had advised the company that it would be beneficial to release the sequel on Switch's successor. 2017's exclusive Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle has reached over 7.5 million players, according to Ubisoft's creative director, David Solani. But despite strong reviews and a 5-year wait for its sequel, Sparks of Hope disappointed commercially following its release last October. Despite excellent ratings and player reception, as well as an ambitious marketing plan, we were surprised by Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope's underperformance in the final weeks of 2022 and early 2023, Ubisoft said earlier this year. While Guillemot said the market is suffering a little bit with the inflation situation, he told GI.biz the company should have been more patient with Sparks of Hope's release. I think it was a different issue with Mario, he said. We already released a Mario Rabbids game on Switch, so by doing another, we had two similar experiences on one machine. On Nintendo, games like this never die. There are 25 Mario games on Switch. Nintendo has advised that it's better to do one iteration on each machine. We were a bit too early. We should have waited for the next console. He added, because you could play a great game and we think it will last for 10 years because we will update it for the new machine that will come in the future. While there are exceptions, such as the Mario Galaxy games on Wii, Nintendo doesn't generally release two entries in any one Mario series on the same console. So for example, it usually has one Mario Kart or one 3D Mario game per system. So obviously, the very interesting takeaway from that interview is not only is this Ubisoft CEO, when talking about Sparks of Hope sales, suggesting that, yeah, it seems like they just needed to wait a little bit longer for Nintendo's next console and not far off in the future, and they should have just been patient, but also the fact that he just straight up said, we will update it for the next 10 years to come because we believe that it has that kind of life. And when you do dissect that word update for Sparks of Hope, it doesn't mean that he's not referencing re-releasing this game on the console with a standalone new cartridge, a new download altogether through the eShop. However, I believe that he is talking about forward momentum and updating it to run and look better and really pushing it forward with new content on the new platform. And that would insinuate at the very least that he knows that whatever Nintendo's next generation hardware is compatible with running a game that they've already developed for the Switch that we have today. So take that for what you will. You can definitely have both sides of the fence on the opinion of it, but I think it's a very interesting talking point around how the confidence at which he says, because we will update it for the new machine that will come in the future. So I think that this is something that we should be taking at least as a good sign towards backwards compatibility, because as mentioned, not only does it just make too much commercial sense for Nintendo to do it in terms of revenue, they're still going to be able to sell games like Super Mario Odyssey. And think about Mario Wonder, that was the big headline show closer for the latest Direct. Like, that game's barely going to be out, and we may get new hardware as soon as early next year, and you don't want to just sell it on a platform that, while the Switch is obviously incredibly successful at over 125 million units, you do want to have the ability to cross-sell those games and just turn around and say that, yes, this new Nintendo Switch 2 is compatible with all of the existing Switch games on the shelf today. So if you walk into a store and you buy Mario Wonder, it's also going to work on your Switch 2, and you don't have anything to worry about. If you downloaded it on the eShop, there is an update file and it will naturally spill over onto the new console, and that creates an evergreen situation for a lot of the incredible software that Nintendo has created during the Switch generation. We are not in a scenario like the Wii U where it's kind of a shorter life cycle, and obviously the Wii U had some great releases, but we saw those kind of handpicked and brought over to the Switch because of the situation and the commercial flop that console was. We are now in a situation where Nintendo is incredibly successful once again with this console generation, and it just doesn't make sense when they've sold over 1 billion pieces of Nintendo Switch software, which is insane, by the way. You don't see consoles hit that ever. They've done it this time, and why would you go ahead and throw away all of the additional sales that you could drive for newer Nintendo fans that are just now growing up and getting into gaming for the first time, or when they release a capable enough console to run a lot of third-party games, they may indeed attract some of the PlayStation and Xbox crowd and PC crowd that wants the latest handheld from Nintendo when it's capable of running major mainstream releases like Call of Duty Warzone, and they might want to play it on the go, and Nintendo's console can now do that. So I think there's a lot of upside to future Nintendo hardware if they stay the course with this portable form factor, and if they give these Switch games a longer life to sell once again on the new console. In terms of how they do that and whether or not they make us pay for some kind of next gen upgrade per game, I certainly hope it's not that. I hope it's just backwards compatibility. It works like the base Switch out of the box, and then there should be certain games like your Tears of the Kingdoms out there that, you know, if we do get DLC for the game and Nintendo wants to do a complete edition with a performance patch, give us 60 FPS, 4K upscaled via DLSS resolution, things like that should exist on the new hardware, and maybe you have to pay a $10 upgrade fee for something like that if you own the game, or you pay that $70 retail price that actually Tears of the Kingdom is already that on the Switch today, because they're going to $70 for certain games, but clearly not all of them. Anyway, you get the point. Nintendo could be in a great environment if they do indeed have these plans cemented for backwards compatibility for the next console. I definitely think they do, and I think that this article only adds more fuel to that fire of speculation that they will likely be rolling forward their entire library of Switch games to the true successor to the Switch, and we will just have to wait and see when we get to find out what that console actually is and when we will finally see Nintendo talk about it. But I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, your personal thoughts and opinions around this article and interview. Do you think that the Ubisoft CEO is in the know with backwards compatibility plans on the next gen Nintendo console, and he already has this information in front of him, which is why he would say it in an interview, and he is just planning on letting Ubisoft roll forward and update the game and try to resell it on the console? Or do you think he's actually talking about making a standalone port and re-releasing the game, and the updated wording is maybe just him misspeaking or not understanding the situation? I don't think that's what it is, but I would love to hear your take if that is the case. And do you think that it is a lock that we will have backwards compatibility on the next gen Nintendo console? Or do you think there's a world where Nintendo may indeed just tell us to restart and not roll things forward seamlessly? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.